Welcome! Today we're diving into The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest, a book that shows us the truth. The biggest obstacles in life are often the ones we place in front of ourselves. Your fears, habits, and old patterns aren't holding you back. They're pointing the way. In this episode, we'll explore how to turn self-sabotage into self-mastery and start climbing the mountain inside you. The challenges you keep facing, the patterns you can't seem to break, the goals you almost reach but somehow sabotage. They are not random. They are not bad luck. They are reflections of your inner world. Wiest explains that self-sabotage is not a sign that you are broken or incapable. It is a coping mechanism. It is something your mind developed to protect you, often from fear, uncertainty, rejection, or change. When you procrastinate, when you push people away, when you quit just before success, it's not because you don't want happiness. It's because some part of you is afraid of what that happiness might require. Vulnerability, responsibility, growth. We build mountains in our lives when we resist necessary change. We cling to old identities. We stay loyal to past versions of ourselves. We repeat emotional patterns because they feel familiar. Even if they hurt us, the mountain is not there to stop you. It is there to transform you. Climbing the mountain is not about fighting the world. It's about confronting yourself. It's about recognizing your trauma, your fears, your limiting beliefs, and choosing growth anyway. Your destructive behaviors once served a purpose. They protected you at some point in your life. But now they may be holding you back. Growth begins when you acknowledge those coping mechanisms and consciously decide to build healthier ones. Lasting change does not happen through force or shame. It happens through understanding. When you understand why you sabotage yourself, you gain the power to stop. She challenges the victim mindset. She gently but firmly reminds us that while we are not responsible for everything that happened to us, we are responsible for our healing. Your life will change when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me about myself?" The mountain is not punishment. It is preparation. And the peak is the person you become in the process of climbing. Brianna Wiest introduces a bold and surprising idea. There is no such thing as self-sabotage. At first, this sounds controversial. We all feel like we sabotage ourselves sometimes. We procrastinate, we ruin relationships, we avoid opportunities. But Wiest argues that what we call self-sabotage is actually something deeper. It is self-protection. Every behavior, even the destructive ones, meets a need. When you procrastinate, maybe you're protecting yourself from failure. When you push someone away, maybe you're protecting yourself from rejection. When you avoid success, maybe you're afraid of responsibility or visibility. Your brain is not trying to ruin your life. It is trying to keep you safe. The problem is this: your coping mechanisms may be outdated. They were created at a time when you needed protection, maybe during childhood, trauma, heartbreak, or insecurity. But what once kept you safe may now be keeping you small. True growth does not come from fighting yourself. It comes from understanding yourself. When you label your behavior as self-sabotage, you create shame. But when you ask, "What is this protecting me from?" you create awareness, and awareness creates choice. Instead of attacking your bad habits, she encourages you to decode them. What fear is underneath? What belief is driving it? What emotional need is not being met? Because once you identify the real need, you can meet it in a healthier way. You must be willing to sit with uncomfortable truths about yourself, not to judge them, but to understand them. You are not your enemy. You are adapting the best way you know how. But growth begins when you realize you don't have to live in survival mode anymore. When you stop fighting yourself and start listening to yourself, everything changes. Because there is no self-sabotage, there is only unmet need, misunderstood fear, and unprocessed emotion. And once you understand that, you don't need to sabotage yourself anymore. You can finally start climbing. Your triggers are not your enemies. They are your teachers. We all have triggers. A comment that feels like criticism, a moment of rejection, a situation that suddenly makes us anxious, angry, or insecure. Most of the time, we react automatically. We blame others. We shut down. We defend ourselves. But Wiest asks a deeper question. What if your triggers are showing you exactly where you need to heal? A trigger is an emotional reaction that is stronger than the situation itself. It is not just about what is happening now. It is about what happened before. It is a wound resurfacing. And instead of avoiding these emotional reactions, Wiest encourages us to study them. Because every trigger carries information. It reveals what you fear losing, what you secretly believe about yourself, what pain is still unresolved, what part of you is still seeking safety. Your triggers point directly to your unfinished emotional work. Emotional freedom does not come from controlling the world around you. It comes from understanding your inner world. When you stop reacting unconsciously and start responding consciously, you begin to reclaim your power. Wiest describes triggers as a ladder. Each emotional reaction is a rung. If you climb it, if you reflect instead of react, you rise. But if you avoid it, you stay stuck. For example, if criticism destroys your confidence, maybe there is a deeper belief that you are not good enough. If someone's success makes you feel threatened, maybe there is a hidden fear of inadequacy. If abandonment terrifies you, maybe there is an old wound that needs compassion. Triggers are uncomfortable. They can feel overwhelming, but they are not random. They are invitations. Your freedom lives on the other side of your discomfort. The moments that upset you the most are often the moments that reveal the most about you. When you become curious about your triggers instead of ashamed of them, you begin to heal. And healing leads to emotional maturity. Emotional maturity leads to stability, and stability leads to freedom. Your triggers are not signs that you are broken. They are signs that you are ready to grow. Because the path to your freedom is not around your pain. It is through it. And every trigger is simply a step on the ladder upward. Brianna Wiest shifts the focus to one of the most powerful tools for personal transformation: emotional intelligence. If the mountain is you, then emotional intelligence is the strength that helps you climb it. Emotional intelligence is not about suppressing emotions or always staying calm. It is about understanding what you feel, why you feel it, and choosing how you respond. Most people think their emotions control them, but in reality, emotions are information. They are signals. They are messages from your inner world trying to guide you. The problem is not that we feel too much. The problem is that we were never taught how to process what we feel. When emotions are ignored, they build up. When they are misunderstood, they control us. When they are avoided, they come back stronger. Emotional intelligence begins with awareness. It requires you to pause and ask, what am I feeling right now? Why is this affecting me? Is this reaction about the present moment or the past? Emotionally intelligent people take responsibility for their reactions. They do not blame others for how they feel. They understand that while they cannot control everything that happens, they can control how they interpret and respond to it. Regulation does not mean denial. It means creating space between feeling and action. Instead of reacting impulsively, you reflect. Instead of exploding, you process. Instead of shutting down, you communicate. And this space, this pause, is where power lives. You must be willing to sit with feelings instead of escaping them. Growth happens when you allow yourself to feel fully without being ruled by those feelings. Emotional maturity is built over time. It is a practice, a skill, a daily choice. Your emotions are not obstacles to your success. They are tools for your evolution. When you learn to understand your emotions instead of fear them, you gain clarity. When you regulate them instead of repress them, you gain stability. When you take responsibility for them, you gain freedom, because the more emotionally intelligent you become, the less your past controls you, and the more consciously you create your future. And that is how you continue climbing the mountain. Brianna Wiest addresses one of the most difficult, yet necessary, steps in personal growth: letting go of the past. Many of us believe we are stuck because of what happened to us: a painful childhood, a failed relationship, a betrayal, a missed opportunity. We replay these memories in our minds, sometimes unconsciously, and they shape how we see ourselves in the world. The past is not just what happened to you. It is the meaning you continue to give it. We often hold on to pain because it feels familiar. Sometimes it even becomes part of our identity. And without realizing it, we build our present around those stories. Letting go does not mean pretending nothing happened. It does not mean denying your pain. It means releasing the emotional attachment that keeps you reliving it. Healing begins when you stop asking, "Why did this happen?" and start asking, "Who do I want to become now?" You cannot build a new future while constantly revisiting an old version of yourself. If you do not process grief, anger, or disappointment, they resurface in new situations. You may overreact. You may self-sabotage. You may avoid intimacy or opportunity, not because of the present, but because of the past. Letting go is an act of self-liberation. It requires forgiveness, not always for others, but for yourself. Forgiveness for what you didn't know. Forgiveness for how you coped. Forgiveness for not being who you are today. Wiest emphasizes that growth demands emotional closure. Sometimes closure does not come from another person. It comes from your own decision to move forward. You are not your past. You are the person you choose to become after it. The mountain cannot be climbed if you are carrying the weight of yesterday on your back. When you release the old story, you create space for a new one. And letting go is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. Because the moment you stop living in what was, you finally begin living in what could be. After facing your inner mountains, understanding your triggers, building emotional intelligence, and letting go of the past, the next step is not just healing, it is actively shaping the life you want. Your future is not determined by your history, your mistakes, or the limits others have imposed on you. It is shaped by the choices you make right now. Every decision, every small action, is a brick in the foundation of your new reality. Instead of reacting to circumstances, you consciously design your life. Instead of being carried by old habits, you decide which habits serve your growth and which need to be replaced. Creating a new future requires courage. It is uncomfortable. It demands confronting old fears, breaking patterns, and stepping into uncertainty. But the discomfort is temporary. The growth it brings is lasting. She also emphasizes the power of visualization and clarity. To design a future you desire, you must first see it clearly in your mind. What do you want to feel? Who do you want to become? What values will guide your decisions? Action follows vision. You cannot just dream or plan, you must act. Small, consistent steps forward create momentum, and momentum transforms intention into reality. Waiting for external validation or circumstances to change only delays your transformation. True empowerment comes when you claim ownership of your choices and your life. Self-sabotage is not a flaw, it's a signal. It shows where your needs, fears, and unresolved emotions still influence your behavior. The key to mastery is not to fight or shame yourself, but to understand and redirect these patterns. Self-mastery requires radical self-awareness. You need to recognize your triggers, your automatic reactions, and your limiting beliefs. Only then can you consciously choose your response instead of letting the past dictate your present. She emphasizes 4 crucial steps toward self-mastery. Awareness. Observe your self-sabotaging behaviors without judgment. Acceptance. Understand why these behaviors exist and what purpose they served. Responsibility. Take ownership of your growth and your choices. Action. Replace destructive patterns with empowering habits that align with your vision and values. Mastery is not perfection. It is the ability to navigate life consciously, to pause instead of reacting, and to act in alignment with your goals and values. Every choice becomes intentional, and every obstacle becomes a learning opportunity. Your past habits and fears do not define you. Your awareness, your choices, and your dedication to growth do. Self-mastery is not about eliminating the mountain. It's about climbing it wisely, with courage, insight, and persistence. When you move from self-sabotage to self-mastery, you stop fighting yourself. You gain clarity and control. You transform challenges into stepping stones. The mountain inside you is the path to your greatest strength. By mastering yourself, you unlock your full potential and create the life you were capable of all along. Thank you for joining us today. Remember, the mountain inside you is not there to stop you. It's there to guide you. Every fear, every habit, every challenge is a step toward self-mastery. Take what you've learned, face your mountains, and keep climbing. Your growth starts with the choices you make today, and your future is waiting for you at the peak. Subscribe now so you won't miss a single episode, and share it with anyone ready to embrace growth and transform their life. Keep climbing, keep growing, and remember, the mountain is you.